Hi, Deborah Callahan here. Today, I'm going to have a conversation with Lynn Capsalors, and I'm so delighted to have her here with me today. Lynn is a mental health educator, writer, and teacher. Welcome, Lynn.
Great to be here.
So today, I'd like to talk about a book that you recommended called Slowing Down to the Speed of Life. And I just thought it was a beautiful title and a beautiful book, and really apropos at this time, especially for me, because I feel as though life is speeding up and I don't ever have enough time to get done what I need to get done. So I'd love to chat about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my coaches actually recommended the book to me. And I'm like, how do you slow down to the speed of life? What does that even mean? So the way that I see it and the way that I've come to see it on a deeper level is that we can't change time, right? We can't get more time. Time is minute by minute. We're made to live in the present flow of life because that's all there really is. Because what I and you had for breakfast this morning is in the past, right? So we're always made to be in that moment. So how does it feel like when we're always rushed and we feel overwhelmed and we're on the highway and our foot is on the pedal going really fast and we're only speeding up to thought? Thought is the only thing that always and only bumps us out of life. I'll give an example. A couple weeks back, I'm getting my coffee ready. I get up very early and I'm just relaxed, pouring my coffee, and I write every morning. I'm sitting down and all of a sudden I feel like I'm stressed out, feeling like an urgency to do something. And I'm thinking about my day, what I have to do. Haven't done this yet. What I should have done the other day should have been done by now. I had like all these things I was thinking about and I felt like anxious. And then it hit me. I realized, Lynn, you're doing it to yourself. I just kind of let my thinking go, because when you let it go, you always get fresh new thinking. And then I land back in the present moment of well-being. Now I'm okay. Now I'm able to write. But when you don't know it or you don't see it, you go down a rabbit hole. I see it because I know this, that not just mine, but everyone's experience of life doesn't come from outside of you. It doesn't come from your past. It doesn't come from somebody who cut you off on the highway. It doesn't come from your crazy ex-spouse or your job. It just always and only comes to how we choose to think about something, because we're thinkers. We live and breathe in a world of thought. When you see it on a deep level, it's amazing because we live in a thought-created reality. Though the illusion, it looks like it's coming from out there.
Right.
We create it from within, which is beautiful because it's not so much what we think about. It's the fact that we have the power to think. And then we see that on a deep level. We spend naturally more time living in well-being.
Is that how you help people with their anxiety, is to try to get them to shift their thinking and their perspective?
I help them see you can't really shift your thinking on your own. This is what causes people to get stuck in habit. That's the current book I'm writing now, is we can't change our thinking because our thinking changes on its own. When you have a change of heart, or like say you're at a restaurant and you go, okay, I'm going to order this. Oh, no, wait a minute, I'm going to order that. You changed your mind on purpose. You didn't have to manually install it. So the way that we really change, say, dealing with anxiety, depression, it's through insights. And insight comes from a sight within. It comes from wisdom. Wisdom gives you truth. We all have ancient spiritual knowledge waiting to awaken. Wisdom is timeless. It doesn't matter how old you are. And it gives you a rise in a level of consciousness. It clears your lenses of misperception. So when you see where your experience comes from, you get an insight. It clears your old beliefs. It clears your old conditioned program. It syncs your conscious and subconscious mind together. And once you have an insight, you can't unsee it. It's embedded in you. You don't have to remember how to do something. It happens automatically. That's how we transform our inner world. And that's what I help people see. All insights. I don't consider myself a self-help person because I don't give anybody tools, techniques, or strategies, because we don't change from the outside. That's temporary. Okay. We only can change from within based on how we think about things. So that's a great question, Deb.
So are you saying that all change doesn't come from changing our thoughts? It comes from our innate wisdom?
Yes, it comes from our innate wisdom, which is, realization on, say, a habit, for an example. I used to go to Costco and get the big reds. I'm cleaning out my kitchen cabinet, and I'm like, what the heck is back there? And I go, oh my gosh, there was like a big package. It was months and I had no gum. It just faded away because your habit, based on how you're thinking, makes total sense. That's why behavior modification is the worst way in the world to change a habit. It doesn't. It's temporary. You see it on a deep level, not here. Nothing changes on the intellect. When I saw that more and more, my habit just faded. I didn't need it anymore. It didn't make any sense. And when you begin to see how your inner world already works, it's how we've been working since we came here on the planet. It's just that people think that your experience comes from outside, but it only comes from within. Life happens from the inside out, not from the outside in.
So when you're working with people to get them to a better state, is that what you work on, their habits?
No, we just talk and I look at something occurs to me to ask them a question, whatever it might be, and just helping them gain insight into whatever it is they're dealing with. And once they get the insight, their level of consciousness goes upwards.
Right. So you're just putting them back in touch with their inner.
Yeah, just how they work. Yeah, exactly. It's just pointing them to how they've always worked but didn't know it. Like, here's an example. People will say, Lynn, recently I was in this really good feeling, but I didn't know why. Nothing. I didn't win the lottery. I didn't get a promotion at work. My bank account was the same. And I felt so good. How do I stay there longer? And I'll say, you know what that was? That was the present moment. You were in the flow of life. You weren't thinking about yourself. Habits don't live in the present moment. You don't have any past to heal. And that's another one. You don't heal your past when you're in the present moment because there is no past. You're living life. That's how you heal your past. You live life. So the more that people begin to see that they're creators and they always have been of their moment to moment experiences, they live from their inner power and their life only gets better. I also help people understand their common sense, their wisdom and intuition. I had a lady once I was working with, and she was telling me how she just wanted to check out of life. One day she drove into her garage. She put her garage door down. She got in, turned her car on. She had her hands on the wheel. And while she was waiting to check out, she said she went through everybody's name in her head. They're not going to miss me. They're not going to miss me. They're not going to miss me. My boyfriend, maybe he'll miss me. All of a sudden, she got a thought, this isn't a good idea. Well, she shut her car off. She got out and put the garage door up. And I said to her, do you know what happened? She said, no. I said, I'm going to tell you something. That was your wisdom, your intuition. And she said, oh my God, how many times have I ignored it? And I help people see that they're not making stuff up. You always have an inner guide inside of you. Your inner guide is never, ever wrong. And her intuition saved her life. And she's doing incredible today.
So when was the first time that you were able to slow down to the speed of life?
I always felt not good enough. And I was always going, doing, trying to prove myself. And one day the big aha moment came, and it was big. And I realized that I'm not good enough was something I just thought I wasn't good enough. It no longer rang true. It doesn't matter what you're thinking. People think, oh, because I'm still thinking it, I haven't healed it. No, that's 100% wrong. We can't control our thinking. It's when you look at it differently. That's how I got an insight. When I do something new, I can still feel not good enough, but I don't give power to it. It's just background noise because it was my habit of thinking for 50 something years. But when I saw that on a deep level, I realized that I could slow down. I realized that even creating my business, I was always already there. I was always trying to get somewhere. I got to get here. I got to get there. I got to make more money. But I realized I'm already there. There's nowhere to go to because this is the moment that all the action of life is created in the moment, not behind you or in the future. There is no future. So when I began to see I could actually live life from just being, I didn't have to worry about getting somewhere. Does that make sense?
It makes me think about the pandemic and how we were
Yes.
kind of all forced to slow down
Yes.
to the speed of life and how that
Yes.
was very uncomfortable at
Yes.
first. I just had a conversation with someone this morning and they were talking about how awful it was, but there was this kind of longing for that again because they were living in the present moment and having gratitude for the little things. And how do I get back to that? How would you advise people?
It's just helping people see where their experience of, say, stress is coming from. You might have a job that is demanding, but it's always how we're thinking about something that creates it, when we begin to see that I could have a different choice, when I begin to see things differently, that I'm creating that, I could still have the same job and not feel stressed out anymore, because I know that my job doesn't create stress. I create it based on how I'm thinking about it. So that gives me another choice. I can think differently of it, maybe appreciate the good things about it. And your wisdom will always guide you. If you need to look elsewhere, your wisdom will always tell you what to do. We always know what to do. It only gets covered up erroneously in insecure thinking. So I would say, the more people begin to see, it doesn't matter that because we're back out in the world, people are stressed out, speeding up to life. It looks that way, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Life is always and only never changes minute by minute. It's only our thinking that makes it speed up. A lot of times we want to keep extra busy. People are afraid to be by themselves because they're afraid to be what they're thinking. It's just seeing that you have the power, that you can still live from a place of peace and contentment while you live life.
How do you help people slow down their thinking?
I don't. Here's how this works. When they begin to see it on a deep level, this is an intellectual, they decide, should I really give power to something like that? Should I really worry about my divorce 7 years ago that I should have got more alimony? I'm not going there today. Who cares? And I let it go. And then you come back to the moment, not continue to place your focus on something that doesn't matter anymore. Even any emotion, our emotions, we have to experience them. We experience them through thought. But when people feel depressed, anger, fearful, they blame, it's just the universe is letting you know one thing and one thing only. You've gone out of the lane of life. You were very creative with your thinking, because our thought is like Play-Doh. You let that go, your thinking changes on its own, slows down, and you always come back to the present moment. It's when we analyze these emotions, we keep ourselves stuck. So when people begin to see the truth of how they live through these misunderstandings, their thinking slows down on its own. That's the beauty of it, because when you know how you operate, you have less on your mind. You can experience emotions, of course we do, but they don't have to take you over once you see that you're the creator of them.
I'm just thinking how this relates to trauma, and how a lot of us had trauma that we're dealing with.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Yeah, exactly.
And that makes it very difficult to live in the present moment or to slow down to the speed of life.
What happens is the trauma happened once and it really happened. The thing is, every time somebody thinks about it, they're doing it to themselves again. What people really need to move on from trauma or anything is to see some insights on it. The problem is people talk about their trauma over and over and over, and those are just thoughts. Thoughts create the same emotions, the same feelings. There's nothing ever could come from that. You can't heal it by talking about it. You need a realization that gives you a different level of understanding. The more we focus on something, the more we feel it. That's how come we have PTSD. And people don't heal because they keep thinking about their trauma, which is awful. But when they can begin to see that they're recreating it themselves, they have a choice to go a different way. But when you don't know, it looks like that your feelings are coming from the trauma or from whatever awful thing happened to you. You're a victim. You feel like you don't have any power. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And that's how people heal, is by understanding that the past is over. It happened. Absolutely, it happened. But when you rethink it over and over again, it just comes alive again and again.
So how would you help somebody who's ruminating on the trauma? Would you help them to find the gifts and the lessons in that trauma so that they can move forward? Or how would you help them?
Well, when I sit and talk with people, they get insight on their own as they begin to talk about it. I say not about the actual trauma, but about what it is that they think about. So it's all based on conversation that helps them see something they didn't see before. And that's how they heal from anything.
For sure. Do you have any examples of that?
I do. I had a 67-year-old woman, had a terrible, horrific past. She got divorced from a husband who tried to kill her. She lost a daughter. She had a very good job. She had just retired. She's went to a talk therapy, which is fine, but for 28 years. And she kept talking about her past. She suffered from anxiety and depression. Her kidneys weren't functioning well if she was going through some type of treatment. So the first assignment that I gave her was just for 1 week. Don't talk about your past. Call everybody up that you deal with and let them know you're not talking about your past. And she's, I don't know. Oh, okay. So she did it. 2 days later, she said, I didn't like you, but hey, I did it anyway. But she sounded like a new woman. And she said, I can't believe how much better I feel. I said, do you know why? She said, of course. My past is over 30, 40 years. I was bringing it alive every time I thought about it and talked about it. I said, exactly. So she was living, trying to heal her past by talking about it. The thing is, peace of mind isn't found in your past. It's only found in the present moment.
Right.
Rummaging through your past is poor mental health, which is why we're in a mental health crisis. Mental health is only an inside job like happiness. It's only found in the present moment. So this woman transformed her whole life when she began to see how she was creating that trauma over and over. She moved, she went to help her son, and she saved his life because he wanted to check out. And he admired his mother because she stood up to the plate. She no longer lived a lousy life, and she became the woman she knew she always was. And her story is incredible. She's helping other women to be pointed in the right direction. Nothing could be healed from your past. Nothing.
Nothing could be changed. That's for sure.
No, it can't be changed. Exactly. And so like people look for answers there. Answers don't come from your past. They don't come from your intellect. They come from insights, a sight from within that allows you to see something different, that clears your lenses of misperception. Now you have truth. Truth gives you a rise in a level of consciousness.
Okay, but what would you say to someone who would say that there is value looking at the past to recognize patterns so that you can change those patterns?
Yeah, the thing there is, though, you can't change a pattern consciously. You can only change a pattern by raising your level of consciousness, because people try to change a pattern or a habit with the same thinking that created it. The thinking that you're in makes absolutely 100% sense to do your pattern or habit. Absolutely. But that fades on its own when you gain some insight on it. You get fresh new thinking in, and you don't have to worry about changing a pattern or behavior because it shifts on its own when you see it differently.
It's fascinating. Yeah. So if people are interested in working with you or your new book coming out, how can they reach you?
Yeah, probably the best way is through my email, Lynn Capsalors, CAPSALORS @gmail.com, or everybody-thinks.com, which is my mental health blog.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lynn. What an insightful conversation today.
Thank you, Deb. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. Take care, everybody.